we can kind of bring it in and bring it down, it would be great. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to be here with us this afternoon to celebrate such a joyous occasion. It is my honor and privilege to serve as the city manager for the city of Raleigh, but it is even more of my honor to MC this event that I found out I was MCing about 30 minutes ago. So in true Mary Ann Baldwin fashion, she would tell you to get your blankety blank ready and let's go. So that's exactly what I am going to do this afternoon. There you go, in true Mary Ann fashion. And so, again, today we have the opportunity to do an unveiling of the portrait that really kind of personifies the person that has served as our mayor and as part of our council for 15 years. And this is an amazing event that the city of Raleigh, not every city does this. So if you walk down the hall right in front of the council office, you will see all of our past mayors. And it is a way to acknowledge the service, the commitment, the dedication, and the time. This is the thankless job that all of our elected officials perform. The pay doesn't correlate with the work, that is absolutely for sure. The headache, the heartache oftentimes, and the tough decisions that have to be made on the drop of a dime are really signifies the work that goes into this. So let's just give former Mayor Mary Ann Baldwin a round of applause. And as you all know, Mary Ann is really hard. It's hard for Mary Ann to let things go, but she was happy to let this go to Janet back in December of last year. So I don't really know what that meant, but she was happy to turn the baton over to Mayor Cowell. So this evening we have 4 speakers that are going to stand up and share some highlights and some personal stories, not only of her tenure here as the mayor and as a council member for the city of Raleigh, but more personally who she is to them as people. We will kick it off with our current mayor, Janet Cowell, followed by former Wake County Commissioner Sig Hutchinson. Then we have Miss Billy Redmond. I thought I saw her. There she is. And then Miss Kathy Johnson. And then I'll kind of bring it home at the conclusion. And then everybody can enjoy wine and we will unveil the portrait. So now I will turn it over to Mayor Janet Cowell.
Thank you, Marshall and Mary Ann. This is such a fun event to be able to honor you and celebrate you. Although I will say, Sig, you're making me nervous when you said we're going to have some fun. So I don't think this is a roast. As mayor, you could say, well, I fully understand what Mary Ann Baldwin went to, but I really am not going to say that because I think Mary Ann had such an incredible years of her tenure where so much was going on. There were so many unprecedented events happening here in Raleigh and across the nation that she had a lot to navigate. And I know we've got a lot of counselors, Corey Branch and others who have served with Mary Ann, and you went through that as well. And appreciate the ability to pivot, to weather these storms, and keep going, and still accomplish many things. And I think we all know Mary Ann is a doer, wants to get it done, and indeed she did. Housing, really changing the zoning and planning in Raleigh to make sure that more types of housing at more price points were going to be built. And I think thousands of people are in homes today because of her leadership and the council that worked with her on that. So yes, that deserves. I think it's no mistake that Kathy Johnson is here from Oak City Cares because, an associated issue around housing is the unhoused and care for those that need it in our community. I know from working at, Dix Park that Mary Ann Baldwin was viewed as such an incredible advocate for healing transitions and many of these other programs. So her leadership and care for the least of those here and the innovations that happened, bringing neighbors home and other programs under her tenure should also be mentioned. I think because she's also a big, bold thinker, right? We remember her moonshot comments and, the renovations at Lenovo. I know Phil Isley's here. That is an incredibly large and transformative project for the western part of our city, and We also had the DMV site, using those ARPA dollars. That is going to be such an incredible anchor to the next BRT. And then I'll mention Dix Park, because she was the mayor right during this Parks Bond that gave a lot of the seed money. And of course, we have these beautiful photos from the intertribal powwow at Dix surrounding us right now. So I could go on, but I will just stop and say, again, I think this city is grateful for your leadership, for the energy and time that you put into it. And I am also grateful as your successor to build on your efforts. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Here we are. Thank you, Mayor. And good afternoon, everyone. Oh, my Lord. Mary Ann, look at this crowd. This looks like all our best friends showed up. We decided to throw a celebration here. So, and what a day it is. What a true day of celebration and acknowledgement of an amazing leader. The portrait is here, right? Jim Baldwin is in the back, deserves recognition for being the first dude. And he's got his notorious MAB T-shirt on, which lives in infamy. And I don't need to say this, but I am Sig Hutchinson, former chair of the Wake County Commission. And I consider Mary Ann Baldwin one of my closest friends. And while I was chair, Mary Ann and I worked together to coordinate efforts between the city and the county to accomplish what I consider great things. Such things as the extension of the Carolina Hurricanes contract, Philip, and the expansion of Lenovo Center, which would not have happened without the leadership of Mary Ann Baldwin. We say in life, timing is everything. And for Mary Ann Baldwin and the city of Raleigh, timing was everything. When MAB took over as mayor, in my view, the city was on the ropes. There was bickering and dysfunctionality between the city council. Nothing was moving forward on housing, ADUs, downtown development, and the Lenovo Center, for that matter. Mary Ann Baldwin stepped into the breach. And after being on the city council for 10 years, as we say, she answered the call. For those of you who know Mary Ann and have had the pleasure to work with her, we know her take no prisoners leadership style, right? But that's exactly the type of leadership style that we needed in Raleigh. I'm reminded of the sign, no whining. No whining. Because with Mary Ann Baldwin, there was no whining. And there was no losing, right? Because we don't lose, do we, Mary Ann?
Hell no.
Hell no, we don't lose. As General George Patton said, there's only moving forward. There's only moving forward. The approval of the ADUs, now a huge and growing part of our housing stock. The missing middle, same thing, huge and growing part of our housing stock. The approval of downtown high-rise developments, many of which have not been built, but they're coming, and they will be built. And that will bring density and vibrancy and more housing and a much better downtown. It's all coming our way. All of this during the rise and the fall of the COVID pandemic, the downtown Raleigh riots, a mass shooting, all of which had to be managed. And yes, Raleigh was desperate for the type of leadership that Mary Ann Baldwin could provide, because it was the type of the leadership that was truly in her core, who she truly was. A core that understood that affordable housing and an effective transit system can work together to improve people's lives. And that's what Mary Ann Baldwin did. She improved people's lives. And that changed the city of Raleigh for the better for the next 50 years. And the rest of the story is that those original passions of Mary Ann Baldwin, transit and housing, are still making a difference in her life today as chair of the Go Triangle Regional Transit Agency and executive director of John Cooper's Cooper Charitable Foundation, who's in the audience tonight. John, where are you? Right over here. All right, there we go. Working to provide housing assistance to those in need. And if you haven't had a chance to find out about the Cooper Charitable Foundation, please take an opportunity to do so. Yes, we in this room and in this city and in this county owe Mary Ann Baldwin a debt of gratitude for what she's accomplished. And I, as a former chair of the commission, saw firsthand the fruits of her labor. She's a dear friend and a true, authentic, and effective leader that I have the pleasure to call my dear friend. Thank you so much.
Well, good evening. I'm Billy Redmond. I've known Mary Ann for more than 30 years. And I can tell you all the words we would use about her in terms of her energy, her forward thinking, the fact that she is relentless, and I could share with you that more than a few times we have been partners in crime. But we've never been arrested. That's a good thing. But I would like to suggest for the few minutes that I have to share with you that Mary Ann's time of leadership as the mayor is a great lesson in no good deed goes unpunished. As you think about our city, we have the most beautiful city, great architecture, greenways, trees, beautiful buildings, places where we live, we work, we worship, we send our kids to school, we go for health care, whatever it might be. There comes a time when that great historical foundation has to be reconsidered. It might even need to change. It might be a time when you have to open and expand the possibilities that things could be different. Now, some people believe that when you need change management, it needs to be soft and quiet, maybe a little manipulative, but you move people forward and they don't even realize it. Well, change is hard. And changing people's minds about how they perceive where they live and they work, and they go to school or they worship or whatever that might be about is really hard. It required bold, sometimes loud, courageous leadership. And that's what Mary Ann brought to our zoning and to our thoughts about housing, our neighborhoods, and how we're going to build and deliver the Raleigh of our future. Now, that kind of leadership also invites resistance and criticism and judgment. And so as a close friend of Mary Ann's, many of us in this room had a front seat to how difficult that time was. So I believe that her leadership is such an example of no good deed goes unpunished. So Mary Ann, from everyone, I just want to say thank you for that bold, loud, courageous leadership and for what it means to the future of Raleigh and what you have done for our city. And just remembering that we are going to build on it. We're going to move into that future. So thank you for what you have done for us.
Even shorter. It just keeps getting shorter and shorter. Good evening. I'm Kathy Johnson, and I have the distinct honor and pleasure of serving as the leader of an organization that actually came out of an original vision and response from Mary Ann. It is called Oak City Cares, and we serve our most vulnerable neighbors who are unhoused. And it is a joy and honor to do that, and it's been a joy and honor to walk this journey also with Mary Ann alongside. I am really excited to celebrate this unveiling tonight and excited to celebrate all the accomplishments that Mayor Baldwin has accomplished in these many years. She has always been a tireless advocate for affordable housing. Many of you mentioned that already, and also economic development. She recognized that our strength lies in our people, and that no one should be left behind. And I think that's really important as we all come together and remember no one should be left behind. People should be embraced with care and dignity. Her commitment to addressing homelessness has been really quite amazing. And it led to the actual creation of Oak City Cares. Because of her, we now have a place in our community where individuals who are experiencing homelessness can come and find connection, be treated with dignity and respect, and also be connected to many services and support that they need. It's really a true beacon of hope and an impact that will be felt not just now, but for generations. And I'd like to thank you, Marianne, for helping to spark that in our community. Marianne has also tackled head-on some of the issues with a housing shortfall, again, championing the missing middle housing policy, and also supporting the ADU dwelling units. These efforts have expanded a lot of different housing options for people in our community. They've diversified our neighborhoods, and they have made it possible for more of our residents to call Raleigh home. So thank you for that, Marianne. And the portrait will hang here in this building, but just want you to know your legacy will live here in all of the people who love and care about you, including my kids, which I have to always say, and she laughs at this, but, unprecedented situations you did lead. And I can remember, like many of us, sitting on the sofa watching press conferences during really difficult times, where Marianne would stand at the podium and just deliver really bold statements that gave us all confidence in our community. And I remember sitting on the couch with my two boys, who are young adults now, who sat there and after one of the press conferences said, "Mom, she's really a badass." Which I really appreciate, because you are, and we all love that about you. So I just have to share that and say thank you so much, and congratulations, Marianne.
So I will round out the comments, and I'll try to get through this briefly. We asked Marianne if she wanted to speak, and she said she didn't know. Now, y'all know Marianne is never going to turn up the opportunity to speak, right? So she will come behind me, obviously. Many of the things I had jotted down when I was trying to think about what I would say have already been said. As you look out the window, on all of the windows downtown, you see her handprints on many of the high-rises, on many of the new businesses, on some of the big ideas and innovation that go not only downtown, but all throughout the city. You see her handprints. From a staff perspective, she always supported and encouraged us. She dared us to dream big, and she told us if we missed the mark, she would be there to pick us up, and she'd hold us up, and, no risk, no reward. And so we encouraged our management team to take some risk, and rather than being complacent and comfortable in the way that we've always done things. And this city is always on the top of the best list. It is not by accident. It is because we have an amazing staff and strong leadership by our elected officials. So all the things that have been said by the four speakers prior to me are absolutely true. But what none of us said was the thing that really epitomizes who Marianne Baldwin is, and that is her heart. If you know her, she loves animals, sometimes more than she loves human beings. And it's not just dogs. I thought it was a dog thing. She loves cats. She loves everything, right? So she loves animals. And she always encouraged us to treat the animals with respect. And we have new policies now in regards to that, to make sure that we are treating our little critters in our community as part of the community, because they make us great as well. Another piece of that heart is she had a heart for service, but she had a heart for people. She always championed the underdog. She challenged us to figure out a way that we could help those and advocate for those who couldn't advocate or didn't know how to advocate on their own behalf. And so I'm so grateful that she pushed me in my leadership. She pushed me in my growth and development to get outside of the public administration box, to attach it with a human element and component, and to make it make sense on a political arena. And if any of you all know, that is hard. That is really, really hard. So the times that I took the risk, I never worried about whether or not I was going to fail or whether it was going to go well, because I knew we had a security blanket and a trampoline to fall on if it didn't go too well. 11 years ago, I stepped into the city of Raleigh. I was her staff support on Law and Public Safety Committee. We don't even have that committee anymore. We did everything from school crossing guards to the expansion of MSDs, more specifically the Hillsborough Street MSDs. I had no idea how to figure out how to expand the boundaries and what process to take. She told me, girl, you've got it. Go do it. And that's what I did. I went and did it. And as a result, Hillsborough Street looks better than it has ever looked in this city's history. So that's a Marshall and Mary Ann thing there. We get dual credit for that. She challenged us to think big, and one of the things was the acquisition of the DMV site. We argued a couple of years about whether or not it made sense and what we were going to do with it if we get it, because you might have to be careful sometime with what you ask for, because when you get it, you might not know what to do with it. And so we ended up getting it. And now we have forged our way in trying to create something that is meaningful and impactful, not just only for the people on the New Bern Road corridor, but for this entire city. So as we look at whatever that development mix is, whether it's commercial, residential, whatever it is, retail, we're going to be intentional about how we move that project along, because she was intentional about how we acquired that property from the state. So I won't belittle the conversation or belabor the conversation talking about the work. I'm going to talk about the woman. There were many nights, and most of you all who really know me or know Mary Ann know exactly where I'm going with this. Some people in this community don't take Mary Ann's phone calls after 9:30. I didn't get the memo in 2014. So last night when I was looking through my phone logs, when I was trying to figure out what I would say, my phone is about 6-7 years old, so I lost track of some time. But of all the minutes in my phone of who I've talked to more than anybody, Mary Ann is number 2. Number 1 is my oldest daughter, who calls all the time just to say hey and just for affirmation. But the longest phone calls always were to Mary Ann Baldwin. So I want to tell you this, Mary Ann. I have cooked an entire dinner and fed my children while talking to you. That is no lie. I would put it on mute, go shake the pots around. It was spaghetti, so it went fast. Shake the pots and come back and say, yeah, that sounds really good. I have fallen asleep, one time caught myself snoring and jumped right back in the middle of the conversation. She was talking so much she didn't even know I fell asleep and didn't even know that I was actually snoring a little bit in that conversation.
I thought it was Michael.
She would always wait till my husband went to bed and then she would call me. So it was always after 10 o'clock at night. But in those conversations, those 2-3 hour conversations, we always talked about how to make this city better, how to make this region bigger and better, how to do the things that would continuously put Raleigh on the map. And so while it was some long conversations, those were some life lessons in there. So as a result of those conversations in the car, my girls know everything about Mary Ann now, because I didn't know how to cut the phone off to where it wasn't attached in the car. And occasionally they would say, hey, Miss Mary Ann, how you doing? And she'd say, oh, you're at the gym. I'm like, yeah, I'm at the gym watching. I'm sitting in the car working. The girls are in the gym. And she was like, oh, shoot, I thought we could go work out together. And I'm like, girl, I can't keep up with you on that doggone Peloton that you get on in the morning. But in all seriousness, through some of the hardest parts in my personal life when I came to this city and through my personal evolution, Mary Ann was there. She helped me in those moments when, quite frankly, I needed a new family when I came here to Wake County. And not only did Mary Ann do it, but the members of the city council, and I see Bonner back there in 2014, 2015, were the amazing family members that I inherited when I came to this place. So although I'm a native of Richmond County, Raleigh and Wake County is my home. I'm going to die here in Raleigh and Wake County. I'm not going anywhere else. And I just want to thank you, Mary Ann, for your personal leadership, for your friendship, for teaching me how to curse. I didn't really know how to use bad words until I ran into Mary Ann, right? And you kind of have to curse with her to be able to get the conversation going. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And really, you have taught us everything there is to know about girl power. You often fought the boys and won. You taught us how to win against the boys. So not only are you good in your work, you're good in your role and you know how to play your position. And on last note, Mary Ann also told us what not to do, or showed us what not to do. Like, it is not really cool to take your dog over on the lawn of the General Assembly and yet them use the bathroom. So as Notorious MAB kind of rides out into the sunset, there are many of you folks that understand and realize exactly what I'm talking about, because she got a lot of press and a lot of attention for that. Again, her love for government and politics and her animals. But it went left real quick. So with all that, Mary Ann, I just want you to know that I love you. I thank you for the support for this staff. And if all of our staff could raise your hand just to acknowledge what she's meant to us. And again, thank you for your leadership, your power, your presence, and sometimes your inappropriateness. But you know what? Out of that inappropriateness came some really good ideas and great decisions. So at this moment, I'm going to offer you once again the opportunity to speak. So are you going to speak to us?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Those are some good stories. And I'm sitting here, I'm looking at Philip Isley. Philip was our lobbyist, and when Jack Bauer raised his little paw on the legislature, and he actually didn't pee, but it looked like it, but they went nuts, and they were going to charge me with a misdemeanor. And Philip said, "Are you serious? If you do that, that woman is the best PR person I know. She will have 5,000 people out here with their dogs peeing on your lawn." And instead of getting charged, I met with the staff, and they laughed like crazy and said, "I wish we had thought of that first." And I was like, okay, lesson learned. Tori and Terrence Holt, I'm so glad to see you today, and this reminds me of something what Marshall said. I worked for them for over 8 years, ran their foundation, helped them build their construction firm. And for 2 years, I was not on council. I left council and said, I'm done. And Tori said to me one day, "Mary Ann, how have you done this?" And I said, "Well, you don't get text messages at midnight anymore, do you?" And he said, "No, I don't." I said, "That's how I did it. I'd be up till midnight working, doing whatever, but it was because I loved what I was doing and I loved working with them." And also the foundation, we supported children who had a parent with cancer. And that meant so much to me. And the ultimate irony in all of this is I actually got them on the team at Rex Healthcare to build the cancer center. And then here's 5 years later, I'm at the Rex Cancer Center receiving treatment for my cancer. And it was the most beautiful place. And I called Lisa Schiller afterwards and said, "Lisa, I never thought I would say this about undergoing cancer treatment, but that was the most joyful experience ever." And she said, "What? Nobody has ever said that." But those are the types of things, how life kind of comes around in circles. And then John Cooper from Cooper Tasia General Contracting, who no one had ever heard of. But John reached out to me and asked if I would meet with him to talk about business development. He wanted to explore this more for his company, didn't know much about it. And I basically said, "Sure, I'll meet with you." Well, when we're supposed to meet, I see this ad on LinkedIn for an executive director for a foundation he was starting. And it was providing housing grants to people. And I was like, damn, I'm going to go work for him. And I told John, I'm really interested in this job. And he said, I don't know I can afford you. And we met the next day. He made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I've been working there since. And I have to say, being able to put people into housing, the stories you hear, that, oh my God, it is like heart-wrenching, but it is so fulfilling to be able to help people. And I think Sig referenced the fact that I'm still working on housing and transit. And again, Tori thought I was nuts when I told him I was taking over his chair, the Go Triangle board. And he goes, girl, what is wrong with you? And I said, this just really matters to me. And yeah, I have a little screw loose sometimes, but which leads me to a story from my husband. Come here, honey. He wore his notorious MAB shirt. So Jim, sucker for punishment, he served as chair of our HOA for, what, 10 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Well, I was on city council, and he came to me one night and said, I'm done, I need a break, I'm not doing this anymore. I come home 2 weeks later, and I said, I'm not running for council. I need a break. I've done enough. Anyhow, then I run for mayor. I win, come to my first city council meeting. I come home, and Jim goes, so guess what happened today? And I'm like, what? He said, I cut a deal. I'm back as chair of the HOA. And Pat said he would stay, and I just looked at him and went, what is wrong with us? Yeah. So the fact is, though, it's we care, and that's what's wrong with us. And all of you obviously care, too, because you're here tonight. And I want to thank my fellow council members who worked with me over many years. Bonner, going back way to the day, but Corey, Jonathan, Megan, who? Oh, Nicole, I couldn't see you. Nicole, like, oh, David Knight. Man, we got some things done. And I really, oh, Philip Isley. When I first got on council, Philip was here, and he would often say the only reason why he knew what was going on is because I reached out to him every week. And it was like he was a Republican, so the Democrats didn't talk to him. And I'm like, no, we all need to work together. Stormy. When I first met Stormy, we had coffee together. And then next thing you know, we have an opening in District D. We appoint Stormy to that, and we're working together, and then she decides to run at large. And it's like just so many strange occurrences like that, but all of you care and have a heart, and that's what really matters to me. And I want to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for getting SHIT done with me, because we really did. And notice I didn't say it because I'm looking at the kiddos. But I do want to thank the staff as well. All of you were so amazing to work with. Some of what you have to put up with is unbelievable, and I admire you, and thank you, and appreciate you for everything you do. And I'm going to close by saying this. I see Sophie here. Is it Amber there? She's there, right? So some of the kids are here. Yeah. If anybody had ever told me when I was young that I would grow up to be mayor of the second fastest growing city in the country, I would have thought they were insane. There's a lesson there, and I want all you kids to walk away with this. Dream big, think big. You can be anything you want. Right, Sophie? Okay. Go do it.
And she didn't cry. That's a win too.
I got it a few times.
Jim, if you will do the honors, and you know if you get Mary Ann, you get Jim, and many of those late nights at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, Jim would be in the background and he'd say, Mary Ann, let that woman go to bed. And then Mary Ann would say, she doesn't sleep, Jim, you go to blank to bed. And so by natural association, Jim became part of the family too. So,
Tell them the real story.
So, I can't tell him the whole story. But anyway, so Jim became my boyfriend, right, by association. And he would occasionally text me and say, I told you to tell her you had to go to bed. I tried to help you. You kept talking, so the night just went on and on. I don't know, right? And so really you all have been a thoughtful couple to this city. And so, Jim, I think it's appropriate for you to lift the cloth over here for the unveiling. So on the count of three. Wait, on the count of three. On the count of three.
Hold on.
See, he doesn't.
People have their cameras up. Hold on.
As always, she's telling him what to do. 1, 2, 3. Oh.
She's fixing it. Hold on.
When y'all come lift it up, it's uneven. I can hold it with my hands under the seat. Come on, Jim.
Come on, Jim. With your girlfriend.
That's right. Can you look right this way, please? Thank you so much. Okay, got it.
Got it.
Everybody.
So that concludes our formal portion of tonight. So have a party, like she said. Don't get out of control because the police chief is here and the mayor is here, and she's got her name on some paperwork so that we can have this event tonight. So govern yourselves accordingly. How about it?